At this point, I've welcome back. I have already reassembled, assembled, not reassembled, but assembled 3 of the 4 booms. I'm going to walk you through my process of putting a boom together properly without pinching wires and getting one of the other critical points of this assembly together. The boom clamp on. The boom I have left is going to be 3 and 7. I mentioned earlier about the orientation of the bolts. This bolt head is the front, is the top, the brass being the bottom. And this is boom 2 and 6, which will be on the front left. That leaves this facing outside to the left, where you can get your wrench back on it to square your motors once you get your assembly done. You will find that your motors will be slightly out of skew from just a straight assembly. Maybe one or more, or all. But you can loosen up the front bolt, the rear bolt, once everything's assembled, and plumb them to your frame. That's what makes it fly right. If you're out of plumb, it's going to pull that way or that way. It'll be plumb all 4 motors on top of all 8 motors. Okay, so I'm going to lay these 3 booms out of the way real quick, and let's do a boom assembly. Of course, the only difference in the 4 booms is your even motors, 2 and 6 and 4 and 8, are the red and yellow wires are crossed, and of course with each individual boom, the orientation of the rear bolt is critical. I exit always my power leads to my right while I'm working on them with the top of the motor up, and my signal leads to my left. What feels like my left. That way I keep a constant orientation. Boom stiffener for the front, the long one we mentioned earlier, faces toward the motors, goes in the end of the boom. So we'll start with our longer wires first. In this longer one, both wires will go through at the same time, but on the other end, the shorter one, you'll have to put 1 wire through at a time. It just doesn't make it through with both these wire heads going through this little frame stiffener. Okay, once I got that on the wires, I'm going to go ahead and put our boom on there. I've already put the tape here, which always ends up being the top side, but I got mine a little bit crooked this time, which it doesn't matter. It's still pretty well. It will be on the top. So let's just pop our wiring through here. And now I want to carefully, if there's any flash left in these holes where your bolt goes through, kind of knock that out of the way, either with the tip of an X-Acto knife or something, just gently without cutting your wires. Just knock that, if you can, knock that out of your way so you can see when you line up your frame stiffener down in there. I'm not putting any pressure, I'm just barely sticking this in here. Okay, now let's put our frame stiffener up. Just eyeball it in there. You'll see it line up. You can see through there, plenty of air. Your screwdriver still drop through there, or a tool to and your frame stiffener is in place. Line up your hole in your boom. Start it in there a little ways, not very far, just ease it in there. It's a little bit tight, but ease it in. And make sure you pull these wires back. If not, you'll end up pushing your boom up in here and crimping these wires, maybe damaging them. So I'm going to ease that a little further. Again, pull my wires, not to pull like hard, but just pull on them a little bit. Okay, we're going to ease her on up a little further. It's not all the way there yet, but at this point, your wires are all the way out, so you should be able to just ease it on up there to its seats. Get in the light and turn your broom in a line. Again, your screwdriver should drop through there to line that frame stiffener up. Should see a nice light all the way through. That's a little large. I just want to knock some of that carbon fiber out of my way. So it's got our front boom lined up with the stiffener in, the wiring's all in. We're ready to put our front bolt in. On these, the front bolt that holds the motor mount on is slightly longer than the rear bolt that holds the boom clamp on. And this is boom 37, which will be on the left rear. So let's go ahead and put our boom stiffener, I keep calling them frame stiffeners. It actually goes, I need to put that front bolt in before we move on, because if not we'll end up twisting that up there. And another thing too, these little washers, you know, they have a punch side and a, you know, the cutting side. I actually like to put the cutting side up because then it doesn't cut into your plastics on your motor mount. Let it face up, let the smooth side go against your plastics. You don't cut it and force it to start breaking in there. So, okay, that's our longer bolt. As always, a little Loctite that I have out of my little plastic bag. It's the way I do my Loctite, just a little drop or two out at a time. Dropped right through. In there. Go ahead and put your 2mm in there and see if it lines up and starts tightening. And if not, you put a little pressure on it. If you've lined it up properly, and I did, and it starts in, it'll tighten it up till it seats down into the plastic. It just hit. So I want to get about a full turn and a quarter on there. Once it's seated good, that should pull that clamp down plenty tight on the boom. Again, here's the top of our boom. Okay, remember now this is the left rear, so we want our bolt to come out on this side over here, which will put it out toward the outer part of the frame, not toward the rear or inside the frame. Get your wrench on. I mentioned that a lot of times. To me, that's real important because you do need to square your booms. Okay, here's our rear boom stiffener, and if you remember, I said one wire at a time through here. We have our long wires. There's our first wire, which is from the blue tape, is our top motor. They go through together, as in there. And then the two wires that's going to exit out the bottom, of course, is going to go in the other half, this half, and exit through the bottom out to our main power harness. So I'm just going to grab one of these, kind of plop it in there. Doesn't matter if you've got the slack in here yet, you can go ahead and pull it out if you want to. Get it out of the way a little bit. There's your one in there. Feed your second one in there, kind of pull this out of your way because there's really not a lot of room there. It's not hard, but it is a little snug. Go ahead and get that up above those. Okay, top of our boom. I'm going to turn this to where our two signal wires come out the top part of our boom stiffener. And again, there's the hose on the side and the rear, so you want to just line that up with your fingers. Just easily line it up and ease it back in there. You'll see it line right up with your two hose. It's quite a bit larger hole through the stiffeners. That way you've got a little playroom. Two wires on top, two wires that exit through the bottom. Top of our motor. Okay, now remember, this is our left rear motor. We want the head of the boat to be on this side, because the motor is going to be facing back that way. If you can imagine this shape, you know. So we want a boat head over here, brass on the inside of the craft. Just kind of think about that. You'll figure out the orientation. Pretty simple. It's left rear, so we're going to run it over there. So let's grab our clamp. Everything's on except for the clamp. It's the last piece of the boom. I wanted to show you a couple of things once this is together. And you want want to be really easy sliding this on. It's really easy to get it crooked. You don't want to push it on there crooked. It's the last thing you want to do. Makes it very hard on your assembly. So there's our bolt head side. Ease her up on there. You really want to be easy there. I'll put that on with that alignment, but it's fairly close, so I should go just want to ease that up on there. Not force it. It'll feel tight at first. If you force it up on there, you'll end up spreading one side out or the other side out, which will cause a misalignment back here. You just want to ease it down there, and you'll see that it pretty well fits good. But if you kind of force it, it will not fit good. It will give you a time. So once you get her down there seated pretty well, did I do that right? It's at the top. This is our left rear. Yeah, there it is. So that'd be our boat head will be coming out over here with our brass over here to the inside. Left rear. Okay, it's pretty well aligned. Really not. Actually, it's extremely well aligned. So this is our last bolt in our booms. Now I'm going to go back over some of the other bolts. You don't even, except for the fact that you want the orientation of these bolts to be facing outside the frame, as I keep mentioning. I can't. There's a lot of other things that need to be stressed, but that is one thing that does need to be stressed. Make the Loctite on your boat. Doesn't need a lot, just a lot on the tip out here. The last 1/8 of an inch or so. 3 millimeters. And again, remember the really nice flush side of the washer down against the plastic, not zoom in on that. The cutaway side will cut down into your plastics a little, where the nice flush side won't. Zoom back out. The rear is always a little tight, so just take your time and twist her through there. Doesn't never want to seat all the way, but it seats within about 30 seconds of an inch or less, so you can take a little pressure once you get it through. I'm not actually turning hard, just barely twisting with the tips of my fingers. So there, we're way down in there now, as you can see. So we should be about to contact the other side. Actually, I think that actually just already started into the brass on the other side, so it was extremely well aligned. Yeah, I see it starting in the brass. It's actually caused a slight separation. This slot, you can't see it very well. I can't even zoom in on it. There's a little slight separation in under here and under there, between the plastic and the carbon fiber boom. It looks like it's oblong. It's actually not. It's just a pressure of the way it's inserted. Let me zoom back out. It'll pull down on there and compress as we tighten the boat down. Just don't over tighten it. You'll end up cracking your boom clamp right here if you over tighten it. So take your time tightening this to where you get good and secure, but not over tighten. Watch it close. You will crack this thin area here in front of the boat if you over tighten it. It doesn't need that much strength anyway. All it needs is tighten down. I see it taking thread inside there. I'm going to turn around out of the camera for a minute so that I can watch this draw down. Okay, now the boat is pretty much through the brass. It's just a little bit below flush, and I've actually that quickly drawn this plastic down against the boom, and it's nice and square on there. You'll want to watch and make sure you get these good and square, because if not, this boom's going to droop, this boom's going to raise up, maybe stick this way or that way, be a 16th, not a 16th, yeah, maybe a 16th out or 16th in. So it's really important to line these up properly. Take your time. If you have to use a little oil or whatever on there, some kind of maybe grease or something. Not a lot, just a tiny amount to get this down on there just right without really forcing around on it. It's in pretty good shape. I'm going to go ahead and finish tightening it, and this fourth boom is done, and then I'll come back up and go over these bolts around the carbon plates. I'm going to give a little more, give it a lot good so I can see it drawing down there. See, I like to bring this up pretty much flush, which sometimes may be over tight, so you're going to watch, again, this thin area in front of your bolt head. That's about a turn in, and it's pretty well flush there with the brass. Maybe another quarter turn. That's way enough. It's actually already starting to pull fracturing into that plastic. So yeah, it was already good. Didn't really fracture it, just started seeing a little fatigue there. We don't want that. So anyway, so that's good. Top of our boom. Signal wires come out the top half of our boom stiffener. Power wires go out the bottom down to the main power harness and the battery. So there's our 4 booms. I've marked each one of them: 1.5, 2.6, 3.7, and 4.8. That's our booms in their position. So there's our 4 booms, which is a big part of the build. Huge part of the build. Went over this earlier. This is boom 4.8, boom 4.8, and boom 2.6. The two, what I call the even booms, do get the red and yellow wires crossed. The red goes in the yellow, yellow goes in the red on the motors. The two odd booms, 1.5 and 3.7, straight through wiring, yellow, yellow, red, red, black, black. I showed earlier about how to do the ESC covers without breaking the tabs. Got that covered. 3 bolts in each one of the pieces of the carbon fiber. 2 bolts in the motor itself, coming through the bottom of the carbon fiber. Heat shrink each wire, keeping your wires straight coming out. Let the wires cross out here, not inside here. The 2 bolt heads inside there, and the heat shrink will keep your wiring up off of the motor shafts. The motor shafts won't have enough length to penetrate that. You can even double, if you wanted to double, long. That way the heat shrink is out here on the sides of the carbon fiber on each end. It kind of holds your, without putting washers and crap in there, it holds your wiring up, off, down and away, or down and away from this center motor shaft. Yeah, I just thought of that. 2 layers of heat shrink would be very nice. I've always done one. I've never had any issues. So, but I think probably give me a little more confidence to have 2 layers of heat shrink on there, because the heat shrink will, again, like I said, touch against the carbon here, touch against the carbon here, and the 2 cross bolt heads that's coming out the bottom of this motor, kind of lifting your, it's kind of like a shim, a good protective shim, and pushing your wires down away from the center shaft. I love the little wire protectors on the end. You bump your machine into something, crash it, whatever. You could break these, but I'd rather break these than eat my wires all to pieces and crash. And that's going to be great. It's great. That's a great design, great idea. Okay, so boom, it's all 4 done. I can lay them out of the way. Next video, we will do the frame assembly really quickly, and mount our booms. I actually do my frame assembly backwards from the instructions. That way, I'll show you why I do that. I don't build the whole frame first. I actually build part of the frame, which I'm getting ready to show you in the next video. Thanks for watching again. See you soon.